America has a characteristic of being bitter. You know, you come here, you think everything's cool, but after a while you realize, or people, migrants, after a while they realize it's really just bondage, man. You're just working paycheck to paycheck, and you can't even rest. The scriptures speak about it not being our rest. Of course, I've said that already. But then I look down and I look at the word said. And said, it's wa ya mar, and I opened it up and it's H55:9, or yeah, it's it says, which what I wanted to pull, to boast, to act proudly. All right, and that just made me think about Daniel the 7th chapter, of that horn having eyes and a mouth speaking great things. So when you go to Daniel the 7th chapter and the 20th verse, bear with me for a second, grab that. When you go there, you'll see that this there's bear with me for a second. All right, Daniel 7:20. Okay, it says in the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came, and this is speaking of this is speaking of Daniel's dream of the 4 beasts. All right. The first beast is the Assyrian Empire that was plucked by the Babylonians. All right. And that kingdom was given a man's heart, as the scriptures say, which was King Nebuchadnezzar. All right. Then the second was the Persians and the Medes, which is Elam. Persians are Elam, the Medes are Japheth. All right. Then you have the Greeks, Alexander the Great, or the Greek, and then you have the Roman Empire. All right. And then you have subordinate powers in the 10 horns. Okay. So then you have that little horn. All right. Speaking great things. So we'll go ahead and pull it. Daniel 7:20. It says, and of the 10 horns that were in his head, and of the other which came up, and before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. All right, so that's the stoutness of his look goes into his pride. He has a very boastful mouth. If you go to Revelation in 13th chapter and the 3rd verse, it says, and I saw one of the heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed. All right, so that's going into this system today. With the starting of, it's the rising of Esau out of that scripture speak about how he was bound in darkness, which his darkness was during the Dark Ages when Jake was ruling in the Byzantine Empire. So it says his deadly wound was healed. So he was raised up. All right. Out of that low state in the Dark Ages, which he was in, being that quote unquote caveman. All right, it says, and all the world wondered after the beast. All right, so the ancient Roman Empire was revived, all right, into this beast system that we see today in the form of NATO and the EU, all right, and it's proud, it has a big whore on the back of it, which is America, Babylon the Great, and again, that being that little horn in the book of Daniel, chapter 7 and verse 8. If we can go to that real quick. So, I know I'm all over the place, but Daniel 7 and verse 8. And I considered the horns and behold, there came up among them another little horn. That little horn is America. Right? When you go to Revelation 17 and verse 1. Excuse me. When you go to Revelation 17 and verse 1, it says, and there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore. That great whore is America. Judgment is going into, the fall of America, Babylon the Great. What the scriptures say, pride goeth before a fall. Just to reiterate, the point that I'm trying to make is that, marah, means to say or to boast proudly, So it says here, the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. The many waters is the people, all right, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, right, adultery, making deals, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication, right? So the kings of the earth, man, these big so-called empires and kings all over, all over the place, the Indian kings and Saudi Arabian kings, they lay down with this whore, and they get burnt, making these deals because it's a Trojan horse that they have to give up, a lot of their culture in order to, please and be down with this whore. But they make a lot of money with the deals. All right, so jumping back to Daniel verse 7 and 8, chapter 7 and verse 8, Salakia, it says, before whom there were 3 of the first horns plucked up by the roots, and behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of man, and a mouth speaking great things. Right, so America boasts in doing great things in science and the technology, and first to go to the moon and all this stuff, So, but in boasting and being proud, marah, bitterness, there's always a bitterness attached to this place, man. when you're dealing with it. And what the scriptures say in Revelation, the 17th chapter, it talked about the kings of the earth committing fornication with this whore. All right, and how they were made drunk by the fornication. And the drunken mean drunk with wine means philosophies. All right, so that's the bitterness that everybody has to dealing with America, Babylon the Great. You know, the philosophy of Sodom. You know, the sodomite culture, the ABC culture, the philosophy of adultery being cool, the philosophy of, you can be whatever you want to be, even if it's outside of being a human being, just craziness, just wild craziness. And Babylon means confusion. All right, so, or Babal in the Hebrew means confusion. All right, so I just found it interesting, when you use the sound of America, the sound of, I know it's not a Hebrew word, but Amaraka. And you break the, you delve into those words, you dive into those words. Amar means bitter. Marah means to boast proudly. The ka is, it's like thy or your. So when you play with those words a little bit, you can kind of see that America is indeed that proud, whore that rides the beast back, speaking proud words and spreading bitterness through her wine and her philosophies all over the world, man. All right. Hey, so I know I was a little all over the place. Lord willing, I was edifying. I want to give all glory, honor, and praise once again to Yahweh, Shem, Yahweh, Shabbat, Shalom.